ESP in particular, their sister company LTD, have been very busy at the start of 2024 and they've just released a whole bunch of brand new models. So let's not waste any time and let's just dive right into these super cool new guitars. All the sounds you're going to be hearing today are through a Soldano Astro 20. Got a couple of pedals just for a little bit of sort of like delay and reverbs and stuff when I play some leads, but nothing too crazy. You're going to be hearing that directly into our interface. But let's start with maybe the most pointy model that we're going to see today, which is this guy right here. That'll do.
That'll do, pig.
So this is the LTD GHSV200. This is the signature model of Gary Holt of Exodus, formerly of Slayer. You probably would have seen him playing a signature Eclipse while he's been on tour, but this is the new LTD version, well, cheaper LTD version of his signature Flying V that was released last year. Been a couple of changes made to this, but it just means it gets into a lot more players' hands, or I guess into their laps like this if you do plan on sitting with a V. Let me know how you sit with a V in the comments. I'm never quite sure. Aaron, how do you do it? You like this or like that?
Back in the wall.
Or with a strap like really high up like that?
Like this.
So the body is made of mahogany and it has a bolt-on three-piece mahogany neck as well, as opposed to the set neck that is on the standard GHSV. Had to think about that there just for a second. But it shares the same 22 extra jumbo frets, and this is on a roasted Jatoba board as opposed to the ebony, which is on the other model. One of the big differences being the fact that the frets on this model are just standard nickel as opposed to the stainless steel frets that are on the other model, but they do share the same scale length and nut width at 24.75 inches and 42 millimeters respectively for both of those. It's worth saying as well the shape of the neck on this, it is a thin U shape, which is used across quite a lot of the LTD and ESP guitars, but it was one of the first things that I noticed when I picked up the guitar, just kind of how comfy it is to play, and I guess it's sort of been designed for those like thrashy and fast riffs. Not that, you know, you couldn't play jazz on something like this, but I mean, you probably aren't going to, right? Hardware and pickup wise, the guitar is loaded with a set of passive ESP LH301 pickups with, of course, the signature red covers, which I think, you know, really make this stand out with Gary Holt's guitars, and actually has a red binding around the neck and the body as well, just to make this super metal, you know. And of course, loaded with a Floyd Rose special on here for all your dive bomb needs. Out of tune. Yeah, give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna grab the key.
It's a good point to link the how to fly.
I was just thinking that as well. Just pure like. And hey, I guess this is a good point to point to our how to restring a Floyd Rose video, if you want to check that out. As mentioned with the pickups of the guitar, these are passive pickups as opposed to the active EMGs that are in Gary's other signature. Here's me speaking Gary like he's my pal. The obviously the biggest takeaway is that you won't have the battery compartment there. You won't have to worry about them running out of batteries, but here's how they sound on a clean channel. Just I'll use the coil split as well at some point so we can hear that. And of course, you can get some kind of single coil sort of chimey tones out of this if you need them, you know. So obviously you're covered for a couple of different sounds with this guitar, but with a, you know, pointy Floyd Rose black and red guitar like this, surely you're meant to play some thrashy distorted riffs. So let's check those out. The next model that I want to chat about is the one that you saw at the start of the video, and it's actually been one that I've been pretty excited to see, actually, and this is the EC201FT, because there's just something so cool about a single pickup riffer, isn't there? So of course, this being based on the Eclipse, but it's a lot more streamlined, kind of a junior version, if you will, with this. Spec-wise, we're kind of looking pretty similar across the board with the Gary Holt and actually with some of the other models that I'm going to talk about. So sort of streamline it, mahogany body, 3-piece mahogany neck, but we've got a set neck with this one, a bit more traditional with the Eclipse. It's that thin U-shaped neck on it, 22 extra jumbo frets on a roasted Jitoba board. And then of course, hardware and pickup wise, we just have a single ESP LH150B in the bridge there with a single master volume as well, because what more do you need, really? It does have the ability, much like the Gary Holt as well, to split the bridge humbucker there as well. So let me just get to the clean channel and we can hear what that sounds like. Here's the full humbucker here. This guitar does come in this black model that we were showing obviously at the start of the video, but then it does come in this really cool red finish as well with the black guard, which I think does look really cool because it's kind of got that more sort of vintagey look to it. And actually the inclusion of the block inlays there as well, I think just, it kind of makes the guitar just that little bit more sort of vintagey flavoured, maybe a little less in your face, but as you'll hear, some of the tones that you can get from this are very much in the kind of metal family that you would expect from LTD. So checking out some of the other models in the 2024 lineup. I'm not going to go too much into specs on these because, as I mentioned, they're kind of largely the same across the board, which I actually think is a really cool thing, because you can get, you know, a different variation of the guitar that you maybe like, but it's just a different look, you know, so you're not really sacrificing like the sound or anything like that. But these are two new additions to the very popular EC256 lineup. We have this see-through black cherry sunburst filled with a super cool sort of quality top on there, and the more vintage inspired vintage matte gold design here also.
I like that one actually.
The gold one is nice, man, isn't it? It's like feels good as well.
Got binding on the fretboard as well.
Aye. As I mentioned, they both share the same wood choices and actually a lot of the same spec as the previous 2-to-1 single humbucker model that I was talking about. But these models, you know, kind of on the surface, you can tell they're already going for a slightly different sort of aesthetic with them, very similar to what a 256 is kind of known for. Two humbuckers there with some extra controls and the more traditional hardtail just at the end there, as opposed to the string through that we saw on the other ones. Of course, kind of the main mission statement of the Eclipse models, certainly I've felt they've always went for, with them being that thinner body, they've got slightly thinner necks to them. Traditionally, I've got kind of, you know, higher output pickups, and I've got a kind of little bit more kind of cuts here and there for your body. They're made to be a more kind of like streamlined, a bit more of an ergonomic sort of single cutaway Les Paul sort of design. Certainly for anybody who doesn't like a big chunky bit of wood, but still likes the sound of that, you know, kind of mahogany guitars with humbuckers in them, then these have always been a fan favourite. But now that you've got a couple of additional sort of, you know, vintage inspired looks there, or something a little bit more modern in the quality top, they're just expanding that a little bit more out to a lot more players, and I think kind of traditional, maybe old school rock fans would be a fan of this one. That rounds out the Eclipses. The Eclipse I never really know how to say the plural of Eclipse there. But that rounds out those models that I have with me today. It's worth mentioning that there is this brand new, quite striking looking Viper 256 in a sort of Olympic white finish with the black guard there. Still going for that sort of offset SG look, but you know, still with the same configuration as the other pickups there, and actually in a slightly opposite way to what the Eclipse's statement is. This is that little bit thicker than maybe the original guitar that it's based on, so you can get a kind of bit more, like, if you want a bit more of a metal-y sort of focused one, check out the Viper. These are super cool to play.
Is it still top heavy like an SG?
No, I'm going to mention that actually. It sort of gets rid of that old top heavy kind of nature, certainly with these kind of guitars, because the body's just got that little bit more kind of girth to it, and it's also really nice cuts as well onto it, so it sits really nicely for you. But if that head kind of neck dive has been an issue, then that totally solves it with this. Now, rounding out the class of 2024, I have left certainly the most nostalgic one, for me anyway, till the end. And it's this. You may have seen it hanging on the wall for the most of the video, but this is the new Olympic White EX200 model. So much the same, speedrunning through the specs and the hardware and all that because it is vastly the same as some of the other models. Mahogany body, 3-piece mahogany neck, roasted Jatoba board with 22 extra jumbo frets on there, with the same LH150 pickups in here, but these have opted for the black covered looks, which I'm sure you'll agree will give it a much more metallic look. Maybe put some writing up there as well, you know? Just a little bit subtle. But yeah, this does invoke just all those kind of classic sort of thrash feels, much the same as the Gary Holt signature. This is just kind of made to play fast riffs on. So that's what I'm going to do with it. Now that was just a small look into some of, I would certainly say, some of the more affordable models in the LTD 2024 lineup. There is a few extra bits out there. I've seen quite a few models that are loaded with Evertune bridges and Fishman pickups and whatnot, so there is definitely something for everybody, certainly if you're a little bit more kind of metal leaning in your guitar playing. But let us know what you think about the brand new LTD 2024 lineup down in the comments below. While you're there, if you have liked the video at all, give us a like and give us a subscribe. It really does help the channel because we just beat 50k last week whenever this video does come out. I'm sure it will come out by that point. So thank you to everybody for subscribing to the page. It really does mean a lot. But until next time, I've been Kieran and this has been a few of the new LTD 2024 guitars. Have a great day.